help me to help you. Help me to help you. Congratulations to Andre, Rad 10 Active, and Unreal Player. You guys both guessed the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance movie quote. Can you guess this one? Hi, and welcome to the Ruby Tuesday. My name is Ruben, and this is my review for Netflix's original movie, Back to School. So Back to School is about two protagonists, Jonathan and Pierre. They are childhood friends who grow up together to become businessmen. They are in IT, and just at the beginning of the film you see them have a great business meeting where they get the funding they need and they think they've reached their goals and life is good. But the film follows them going to a school reunion, a middle school reunion. And it's all about getting one up on the bullies from their past and relationships that have failed and identity crises. And it's all about these themes intertwined in a kind of film that you've seen before, going back to school, meeting friends from the past, meeting enemies from the past, and it's how you deal with those themes and how the film confronts the themes that makes this film kind of interesting. The two protagonists at the beginning I thought were really interesting. The dialogue for them was fun to watch. It was tight, it was witty. I believed their friendship. They're good on screen together. Whenever they're chatting to each other, you believe that they're best friends. But unfortunately, when you get to the school reunion, which is 80% of the film, they go their separate ways because one is going after a long lost love and the other is trying to deal with bullies, and there's a case of mistaken identity. And as you can imagine, in a film like this, everything spirals out of control.
C'est pour toi, mon Lopez.
For the most part, the dialogue I thought is okay. There's a lot of tongue-in-cheek jokes. There's a lot of jokes that I feel like miss the mark. I was reading subtitles because the dubbing I think is awful. Some of the worst I've ever heard. So stick to the subtitles if you can handle subtitles. But you do have to read and then you do have to watch. And I feel like because some of the jokes fall flat and the timing and the tempo is out and you're reading at the same time, it can take a lot from the film, unfortunately. There were a couple of times I giggled, but for the most part, I was still watching this film. For me, the jokes really didn't hit home. I was invested in the two main protagonists, Jonathan Perry, somewhat. And the film did get me at the end. There's a bit of a surprise that I wasn't guessing, but 99% of the film you can guess where it's gonna go. There's a large majority of this film where the good guys, Jonathan and Perry, become the bullies. They want to get one up on the kids that bullied them. And I thought this was a strange way to do it, especially in today's society. The message was strange. For a large majority of this film, they are bullying and getting revenge, and it's almost like these characters digress from the adults they want to the kids they once were, and they're finally getting the revenge because they were bullied at school, so now they're getting one up, and it almost shows like these adults haven't grown up at all, haven't realized what life is actually about, and they've come to, at no matter the cost or the hurt they're going to inflict. And for me, that's what the message I got across. It was like, oh, it doesn't matter, you go and bully. The film does address the bullying. Even one of the two friends have an altercation and it goes, but no, you're bullying. And so for a moment, it addresses that. But the large majority of the film is them bullying the bullies. And that was a weird thing for me to kind of digest. If the jokes were hitting and the tone and the tempo felt different with the score, just the mood of the film, if it was actually as funny as I think it's suggesting that it is within the scripting and the dialogue and the acting, then perhaps it would have been okay. Like, oh, okay, so what you're saying is that they've become the bullies and there's this whole kind of deep theme in amongst the comedy, but it just put me on unease. I was bullied at school, so maybe it's a bit of a bigger deal. Not loads, but I was, and there was some stuff in my past that I was just like, when you think about, I guess a lot of us have those issues, those moments in high school or junior school or whatever type of school where you have those memories that aren't great. And so it's picking up on that as a theme, but I think it ran with it for too long. There were other themes that this film digests. It's long lost love, identity crises, sexuality, that kind of thing that it plays with. It's almost playing with too many themes, but at least it's housed at this. It feels a very American high school reunion, although it's not. So that's interesting. Again, I like the two protagonists. I think the scripting is okay between the two main guys when they're interacting with each other. I believe it. There is a theme of broken relationships here, and then you have that formulaic overview when it gets to the end. Everything is hunky dory, kind of, because I wasn't quite expecting the last few seconds. And if you watch it, you'll know what I mean. It's almost worth watching the film just for those last few seconds. So I think this film is okay. It's not bad. It's not great. I'm gonna give this film a C. I do like high school reunion films, but it needs to be crafted well. There's a film that I love called Grosse Pointe Blank with Joan Cusack and Minnie Driver. They do a high school reunion, and one of the guys have become an amazing assassin, and he wants to put that down. And the film and tempo and the comedy in amongst the themes work well. So when I compare the two, although I guess it's not doing it justice because one's an assassin movie.
How have you been?
And one's just two guys trying to get revenge. But there are very similar themes. And if you look at the dialogue and the banter and the jokes, I think there's a type of tempo and bounce to high school reunion or middle school reunion films that you need to get right. Maybe it's culture because it's not English. You do have to read the subtitles, so maybe I'm just not getting the culture, the references. Let me know if you found it was funny. That may be the case, but for me, this was a subpar film of that genre. I think it's possible. Thank you so much for watching my review and the content within my channel. We have loads of reviews, mostly do streaming and Amazon, like Netflix and Amazon, that kind of streaming services. We probably will do the Disney streaming service as well if it comes to the UK. So do check that out. We have some really interesting exclusive interviews as well with composers and directors. And even voice actors like Geralt of Rivia from the Witcher games. That's always fun to do. So we try and keep it real and interesting. If you want some behind the scenes stuff of how we make our reviews, the stuff that doesn't get in the mistakes, short films, then you can join us on YouTube. I don't do a Patreon, but I like to keep everything contained within YouTube if I can. So we have a join subscription membership thing within YouTube. But most of all, thank you so much for watching this review, and until next time, remember, live long and Tuesday.